What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hello.
How was your trick-or-treating endeavors tonight?
It was very cold. As you can see, I dressed up as casual Commander Shepard. Yeah. So yeah, me and the wife and the boys, we went trick or treating, and we had to strategically find the houses that were handing out candy. The two of them were Miles Morales and Peter Parker as their respective Spider-Man. My wife went as a mother, and we went through most of the houses. But the woman who we didn't go to the house that had the anti-abortion sign in her front lawn. My wife was like, "We're not going there."
Okay,
That's fine.
she was probably giving out like a stack of pennies anyway.
She was probably giving out, fucking pictures of dead fetuses or some shit.
Man, it's a bold move on Halloween. Imagine that. More power to you, I guess. I think I'm gonna go legend next year. I'm gonna convince my wife to get the full size candy bars and be one of those houses on the block.
Oh shit!
Everyone likes the full size candy bar house. So I think that's
well. Look, you open that door, man. People gonna remember you.
That's true. It does set up a precedent that might be hard to maintain in future years. So we'll see how that goes. But my son doesn't dress up, so we save money by not having to get a costume, I guess. So we can pay it forward to the neighborhood kids.
There you go.
So, I'll tell you, that Diablo IV, it was a pretty good game at launch. It had some issues, but it was a largely really good game when it came out. And with this new season, the Season of Blood, they have also kind of released like the Diablo 2.0 update, and man, it just really takes all of these like minor gripes that we had from the original release and fixed pretty much everything. Like there's not too much in the game that really annoys me anymore. So some of the stuff that they added with the 2.0 update, the first thing is they extended the item power. So like before, the maximum item power you can get off of something was like 925 or something like that. Now you continue leveling all the way up to you'll get new gear all the way up to 100, which they also lessened the time it takes to get to level 100, especially in the upper levels. Apparently you can get to 100 about 40% faster than you could when the game first came out, which is a pretty significant upgrade. Your inventory is not cluttered up by gems anymore. Those basically live as ingredients until you're ready to actually make the gem and socket it into a piece of equipment, which is nice. They have stuff they should have had from the beginning, like you can mark certain items as a favorite, so you don't accidentally junk it or salvage it. Things like that. It just, like I said, it just plays smooth. The horses move like so fast now.
So much faster, man. It's like goodness gracious.
Especially when you're doing the sprint. Like you feel like you're moving at lightning speed. It also just trucks through barricades now. Like before, it used to get stuck on barricades, and now you can just kind of traipse right through them without much of an issue. The endgame activities are just pretty good. Like if you do whispers to level up, which is the best way to level up, especially at low levels until you get to level 50 and can start doing nightmare dungeons, gold becomes trivial. Like my seasonal character is at like level 52 right now, and I have 15 million gold just sitting in my inventory right now because you get so much gold from whisper caches that it just becomes like gold is just there to be there. It doesn't really actually matter. So you can level up those items and all that jazz, and you have plenty of money to go around, and that's pretty cool. It's just like I said, it's just overall a really fun experience. And Season of Blood is a really good season because they did the thing that's very smart where they have new mechanics that fold on top of the other mechanics very nicely. And a lot of the stuff that you do in the Season of Blood, you would be doing anyway. It ties into the Whisper mechanic. when they do the blood harvest. So quick, the season of blood, it's the vampire season for Diablo. So basically, your character gets bitten by a vampire, but because you have like the Lilith blood in you, you don't turn into a vampire, but you can still use the vampiric powers. So you join this vampire hunter to kill the vampire lord. Story's pretty straightforward, but the seasonal content that you have is kind of twofold. So first, you have these vampiric abilities that you can equip 5 of at a time, and these are basically like legendary abilities that you can get. And there's about 30 in total to choose from that you can unlock by using one of the currencies of the season. You can equip whichever 5 you want. You can level them up to make them more powerful. Just a very easy, paste onto your existing build sort of thing that just makes a lot of sense. There's a bit of a inventory management mechanic with it because armor that you drop now has these like, they're called packs on them, and each ability requires specific packs that you have in your armor set, but you can also add packs separately and change the pack that's on specific armor. It's all very unobtrusive. And then the other thing, the other way you interact with the season, not only will you find like vampiric enemies in dungeons and stuff like that as you're going through, but there's also a moving blood harvest that's on the map, and there's an area that's designated as the blood harvest. And not only are there whispers in this area, so you can help contribute towards your whisper goals so that you can get caches from the Tree of Whispers, and that's very nice. But the Blood Harvest has some other activities that kind of naturally congregates people towards this one singular area. And you'll be collecting seeker keys, which unlock these special chests that are in the areas. And you're going to collect these blood lures, and you want to put the lures into these altars to summon these vampire seekers, which are elite enemies that you can take down with the group. And the best part of it is they have this triangular altar in the center of the area, right wherever the blood harvest is, and it moves around every hour. And each of these altars, and there's 3, require 50 blood lures to be put in them by a player. So they're not an activity designed to be done by yourself. They're designed to contribute with other players that are there with you. But when you trigger one of these, like whatever they call it in the game, there is just a shitload of these elite enemies that come down that you and other players will fight, and there's like 8 of them, and each one drops a guaranteed legendary on top of whatever else. So like when you're done fighting these elites, like you just see orange drops like on the ground all around you, and you have so much loot that you literally have to go back to town and drop and break down your stuff and then go back to the area to pick up the rest of what you left behind, because there's so much loot dropping on the ground from this activity. And that's pretty fucking fun. All the endgame activities are much more frequent. Like, I didn't fight any world bosses at all in the first 50 hours that I spent with Diablo 4. Now world bosses are spawning like once every 2 hours, and I fought like 5 world bosses so far. Like that's that's the kind of stuff that you want to see. I'm just getting into nightmare dungeons now, and that's been pretty fun too. And apparently the big thing with the season, especially for hardcore players, is they have like the Uber bosses in the game, like Uber Duriel and stuff like that, and you can actually farm for the Uber unique weapons that are in the game, which are like god roll weapons that beforehand really dropped with like a 1 out of 100,000 chance. Like you probably wouldn't have met anyone that had one of these, and now like the chances are pretty good that you'll have a person or two on your friends list that might have one if you can just farm like these Uber monsters, if you can get your character leveled high enough. I've been playing it like crazy. It just fucking figures that like all these great new games are out, and I'm just like, well, we're gonna go back to Diablo 4. And we're gonna go back, and I started playing Monster Hunter World because I'm like, man, it's on sale. I'm in the mood for that. It's monster time. It's Halloween. Let's start playing Monster Hunter World, and see what that was all about. And so I'm playing. So in the midst of all of these new games that are coming out, and we're gonna talk about a lot of new games in a second. We're playing old shit. We're playing old shit because that's how it goes.
Yeah, I popped on Diablo because I saw on the Discord that you played it and you liked it, so I said okay, and I didn't realize the new season had started, and so I'm just kind of getting my feet wet, and I was like, oh okay, let me go ahead and boot up this Necromancer. I haven't played that in a while, and it's like, oh shit, I gotta start over.
Yeah, you gotta pick a new character, but I will tell you, like, it only took me about 10 hours to level my new character up to 50.
Yeah.
which is a lot faster than it was in the earlier
Yeah,
iterations.
cause like I've only played for an hour and I'm at like 17.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, this doesn't feel bad. Maybe I'll actually get a character to 100
Yeah. Yeah,
before the next season.
whispers, like I said, they're a great way to get XP, and they've really made that the primary activity. Like if you turn in a cache in the like basically you'll level up once fighting the monsters that you need to get the whispers, and then you'll get another level when you turn in the favors to the tree. Essentially, like it really kind of works on that rotation, which is great. Like it's fantastic that that's how it does, because the 1 to 50 grind is the tough part in Diablo, and then like get just to mess with Paragon stats is just fun at that point, because then you can do the nightmare dungeons and all that. I was very proud of myself, by the way. I cleared the tier 50 or the level 50 capstone dungeon when I was level 41, so I was pretty proud that I was able to clear that 8 levels higher.
What are
So
you rolling as?
I'm using an ice shard sorcerer, basically.
Oh man, that was the first character that I chose that I started playing with,
Mhm.
and it took me a minute to kind of get used to it. But man, like those things are incredibly powerful.
Yes,
Um,
and Sork is good now. Apparently, when the game first came out, they busted it a little bit. Apparently, Ball Lightning Sorcerer is broken due to a glitch right now. Like Ball Lightning is apparently doing 3 times damage more than it should be, and the devs have already come out and said they're not patching it. So like
oh
if
shit.
if you want to just wreck shop, find a Ball Lightning build that you can find online and have some fun, because they said go nuts. Like you could just fucking destroy things. We're not gonna touch it. Go have fun. So that's the thing that's happening right now.
I'm gonna use a rogue this season,
Hmm.
because I've always wanted to like these type of games. I like playing like ranged classes.
Hmm.
Um, And I hear there are some viable range classes for Rogue in this particular season.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm gonna kind of get yeah. And I started playing it. That's the thing with Diablo, man. Like you can easily burn yourself out on that game,
Hmm.
but I've taken a long break, and now that I'm back, I feel it again. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I wanna
Well,
I wanna get back into it.
I gotta say, I really appreciate the tack that they're taking, where like the developers literally came out in the build up to Diablo 4, and they're like, look, we're gonna have these seasons once a quarter. We don't want Diablo 4 to be like the only game you play ever. Like we want you to come in and have some fun, and then go play something else, and then come back in like 3 months and get right back to it again. Which I appreciate. Like I appreciate a live service game that's like, hey, we don't have to be the only game that you're playing at any given
Yeah,
time.
yeah, and they juxtapose that by charging you $30 for a costume if you want that.
Look, you're here for a good time, not for a long time, Micah. So you might as well pop that money down. Might as well pop that money down. I mean, I've not bought any cosmetics. I still think it's kind of atrocious that they don't give you enough platinum in the battle pass to at least buy the next battle pass. Like you would think that that's
Yeah,
I think they give you like 666 platinum, which is cute, but like just
right.
give me enough to get that next battle pass, and just let me keep paying it forward. That'll keep me playing for sure. Yeah, I've not bought anything fun in the Diablo store. They give you and that's the other problem, is that, like the shit that's in the battle pass, like the cosmetics you get, like you get just as cool, if not cooler, cosmetics in the game. Like I just got a ghost skin for my horse just by doing a
Yeah,
nightmare dungeon.
yeah,
That's pretty dope.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So I
I
don't.
I had I had the I bought the collector's edition or
Hmm.
whatever, and it came with the first season pass, and I was like, all right, let me try this, and I got through it, and yeah, the cosmetics aren't like
Yeah.
they're not great. They're not like those $28 cosmetics, but like those things are $28. So
Hmm. That's
that's
half the game.
right. Like what the fuck?
And I've already bought the fucker twice. I can't afford to buy it to buy costumes this, because I bought it on Steam when it came out on Steam. So the me and like God, this is the most fucking white privilege shit I've ever said in my entire life. I literally bought it on Steam so that like I can have one whole monitor while we're playing, and my wife can have like another whole monitor on the PlayStation while we're playing. Like that's the only reason well, it's not the only reason I want to play it on Steam Deck too. It runs really well on Steam Deck, by the way, considering you just have to like crank the settings down and it runs perfectly good and actually gets decent battery life. So if you have a Steam Deck, highly recommend checking that out. But yes, I was tired of sharing the screen with my wife and with the camera zooming out constantly when I got to the edge of the screen and she was slow to keep up. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to play it on PC where I can have my beautiful, my DLSS and I can have my ultra wide monitor and my 165 frames a second, which in Diablo doesn't even really matter that much. But, it's going to be nice and pretty. And then she'll have a whole monitor on the PlayStation and that'll be fantastic. So
there you go.
There we go.
There you go.
And look, to afford these things, we got to pay bills, so we're going to take a quick ad break, and then we'll be right back. All right, so we are back. I realized also that I forgot to do the housekeeping at the beginning of the show. Shame on me. I can't believe that I forgot to do that. I am such a jerk. So, again, don't forget to check us out on YouTube. You can find the show there. We do it in video format every week if you prefer. You can also subscribe to the show where you get all the other TNP Studio shows and make sure you check those out too. And, of course, you can sign up for our premium content by going to densepixels.com/premium. Just $5 a month, $50 a year gets you access to the premium slate of shows. And if you want to support us financially, do it by buying stuff from our Amazon link, which is densepixels.com/Amazon. Like many of the fine games that have come out in the year 2023. Micah, I'm just going to read you a list. Okay, I'm going to read you a list of games that have released this year, and then I'm going to ask you a question at the end of that list. So here's the list of new games that have come out in 2023. Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Street Fighter 6, Cocoon, Mario Wonder, Sea of Stars, Diablo 4, Phantom Liberty, Dave the Diver. Let's see what else we got here. We got Spider-Man 2. We got the Dead Space remake, Hi-Fi Rush, Pizza Tower, Alan Wake 2, Armored Core 6, Pikmin 4, Final Fantasy 16, Starfield, Wargroove 2, Mortal Kombat 1, 30XX, Octopath Traveler 2, Jedi Survivor, Blasphemous 2, Remnant 2, Forza Motorsport, Dredge, Hogwarts Legacy. What else we got here? By the way, these are all 80 plus rated Metacritic games that I've listed so far. I haven't listed anything below an 80. Lies of P. What else we got here? We got Legend of Heroes, Trails of Azure. We got Darkest Dungeon 2. We got like we're getting into shit that Micah doesn't even care about, but there's somebody out there that does care about these games. We got all the sports games that have come out this year, as per usual. Micah, my question to you is 2023 the best year in video games ever?
I was going back I remember like 97 or 98 was a really good year.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those like late 2000s years was a good year. But I think it might be. I think this year might be the best year for games all around. It feels like you've named every genre of video game. And I think this might be it. And I think, ironically, I think that part of it is due to the pandemic. Forcing people to not release things, not rush people to release things, and things getting a little more time to kind of bake. The pandemic is bad, but I mean, if we can get more years like this,
I don't know that it's worth all
no,
all
it's
this
not
time.
worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I had to say it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. That's what I said.
So I think I think you're right. I think this year's definitely up there. It's hard to say definitively yet, because I think one of the things that you kind of need for this discussion is hindsight. Like the reason that 1998, for example, is shown as like, is held up as as a prime example of the best year ever, is because a lot of those games that came out that year, a lot of those big releases have stood the test of time, and are still good even today. Like they're games that still stand toe to toe with contemporary games that have come out. So I don't know if we can make a sweeping declaration, considering we're still in it. Like we don't have that hindsight. We don't see how those games have progressed over time, and how they're held up over time. But I mean I can tell you that, like, if I'm looking at games that have come out this year, pretty sure Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be a game that withstands the test of time. I'm pretty sure Tears of the Kingdom will withstand the test of time. Resident Evil 4 is held up as like the best remake ever. And that was after
the best remake to the best Resident Evil.
Right.
The genre, the game series that created the genre.
Yeah.
Right. That put the genre on the map.
Yeah.
So
Mario Wonder has reinvigorated 2D Mario games, which is something that is like this is probably the best 2D Mario game since Mario World, which came out over 30 years ago at this point, which is insane. Street Fighter 6 and Diablo 4 both are positioned to be games that are important for years and years and years. Like those are going to be the tentpole games in the series for years to come. Alan Wake 2 is getting reviews this week, and people are talking about how this is like the game of the game of the year.
Yeah,
that's coming out. We've had a ton of those. We've had a lot of games. Like, there have been a ton of games that have come out. Like, in almost any other year, I think Starfield would be getting Game of the Year consideration. I don't know that it's even going to be nominated, honestly, with all these great games that have come out. Final Fantasy 16 and a lot of other years. Like we kind of poo-pooed on Final Fantasy 16 because it wasn't what we were expecting it to be, but the game still has an 87 on Metacritic. Like for what it is, it's still a very good one of those. So, but in any other year, that's a Game of the Year candidate. It's probably not going to be a Game of the Year candidate this year. I can't see it beating out a lot of those other top games. Jedi Survivor, I think a lot of years could potentially be a Game of the Year candidate. You know what I mean? And I'm at Mortal Kombat 1. Where do you think Mortal Kombat 1 rates Metacritic score wise this year? Like as far as what if you listed the best scoring games from top to bottom, what ranking do you think Mortal Kombat 1 exists? A perfectly cromulent Mortal Kombat game.
Of that series, or are you looking for a Metacritic
of 2023? Like where do you think it sits in terms of 2023 games?
I don't know. I feel like that game's probably got like an 82 Metacritic score.
Well, no, the score is 85, but I'm saying, where do you think it ranks amongst games that came out in 2023?
Well, the thing is, like, fighting games are a niche. Like, they're still a niche. Like, Mortal Kombat is the most popular fighting game in this country, and it's still. I wouldn't put it anywhere near like a game of the year, but it for the exposure to this little pocket of video games, I think it's pretty important.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a little more important than Street Fighter in terms of getting people who are not into video games to notice it.
So,
right.
So just to let you know, it's Mortal Kombat 1 is the 69th highest rated game this year, according to Metacritic. Street Fighter is number 9, just for context.
Okay, all right.
So, but that's what I'm saying, is that, like, Mortal Kombat 1, 85 Metacritic score, a perfectly cromulent Mortal Kombat. Like, it's, most people enjoy it better than they liked 11. I think it's fair to say. Like, I think people like 10 a lot, and was more down 11. People are kind of back to liking this, and it's only the 69th highest rated game that's come out this year.
Wow, that's
bonkers to me. Like that, like that's craziness. And I mean, realize that a lot of games, like, games that just released, on other platforms this year might be ahead of it. So there's a little bit of hinkiness there. You have to get all the way down to number. I'm going down the list, and I'm still going down. So to the first game that's ranked lower than an 80 Metacritic score is Overwatch 2, which is ranked 155th of all the games that came out this year. Like
Did
that's
people like Overwatch 2? I mean, I feel like
not as much as they like Overwatch 1.
yeah.
But that's kind of my point though, is that like even that game, has a 79 Metacritic, and that's the first game that's below an 80. So there were 154 games that came out this year that have a Metacritic score of 80 or higher.
Good lord.
Yeah.
And Metacritic isn't exactly like
It's not an exact
you
science.
know, right. But still, like that's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah.
Like Metacritic is not a like it's the benchmark that like it's the benchmark that
Studios.
studios use to hang, you know, the sort of Damocles over developers. If you don't get an 80, you're going to be out of a job. But yeah, that's pretty impressive, man.
There are 25 games that released this year that have a 90 or better Metacritic rating associated to them,
Wow.
which is a lot of games. So
That is a lot of games. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
looking at a list. I don't know if this list is the same as your list, but yeah, man, like Baldur's Gate, Tears of the Kingdom, Metroid Prime. Those are the top 3 games on this list. Like that's a I mean, yeah, I know we're in it, but yo, this feels like a really good year, man. This was like a really good year, and not even just like the popcorn blockbuster stuff that I like to play, right? Like there have been incredibly good indie, like you said, Hi-Fi Rush, a game that literally came out of nowhere and was a critical darling, and people are, you know, if people are going back to the well, they're going back to the well for and remaking games that are beloved, like Dead Space, and they're doing it well. Like they're not just like it feels like the days of like up-resing an old game are kind of done. They should be at least, right? Like if you're gonna remake a game, remake it. But
I will
yeah,
say anecdotally, listening to my gaming podcast, I've not seen game reviewers more stressed out than I've ever seen them this year, as far as like getting games played in time for Game of the Year conversations. Like they're more stressed than they've ever been. I feel like it's like, when
I
am I
can
gonna have
imagine.
time to play all these fucking games that are coming out?
Yeah,
So
I can imagine, man.
yeah. So yeah, it's been a banger year. Unfortunately, that means next year is probably going to suck ass, at least in terms of like big blockbusters. But hey, that gives you a lot of time to catch up on all the games that you couldn't fit into this year. So you got to look on the bright side of things. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Microsoft reportedly is getting ready to ban the use of non-licensed peripherals on the Xbox consoles. So nowadays, when players are plugging unlicensed accessories into their Xbox system, a warning message is popping up telling them that that players are going to stop being able to use unauthorized devices as of November 12th. So I would expect an update to come out that's going to somehow disable unauthorized devices from being used on an Xbox console. This sucks in my eyes. Not only because I'm a big fan of player choice, obviously. Like I think that players should be free to choose as much as possible what accessories they want to use and things of that nature. And just because someone doesn't want to strike up a partnership with Microsoft or can't, doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to use that. And I'm kind of looking at this from, so like Brook Gaming is well known for fighting game fans, and they make a lot of accessories that help make fighting game controllers compatible across platforms, or let your old fighting game controllers work with newer hardware that's not designed to to work with out of the box. And companies like that are going to be the most affected. Like Brooke put out a statement on Twitter, talking about like, hey, like we know that this, we know that this is going to affect some of our products. We're doing everything we can to try to find workarounds for this, to being able to do these things. So that really stinks. Also because licensed accessories tend to be more expensive as well. It kind of eliminates some potential budget options from this. And I'm just not a big fan of forcing people into your ecosystem, especially when I don't think Microsoft can point to any specific instances of these accessories doing actual damage to people's consoles. I'm sure that there's isolated problems here and there, but for the most part, like it's not like these controllers are breaking Xboxes or anything like that.
Oh, you better believe this is all about money.
Oh, sure.
Right? Like they don't want, we have accessibility options. We have an accessibility controller. Use that one. Like, what if my needs aren't met by this? Right? Like, it just, I don't know, man. It feels very on brand for giant corporations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't see what the issue is, quite frankly. It's a buyer beware situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if you want to use this third party accessory, okay, but like you run the risk of breaking your system. And if you're cool with that, then fine. Um, there's literally no other reason other than we want a piece of that pie, especially with accessibility being like the the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like throughout the past few years, right? Like which it should be, right? Everybody should be able to play video games, um, and but like these companies can't just do anything altruistically. Like it's, and look, I'm not saying companies shouldn't be here to make money. I get it, but trying to stomp out competition, that's my
Mm-hmm.
problem. And you know, do what every other company does. If you see a third party making something better than you, steal it.
Well, I
Buy
think
them out or steal it.
I think this is probably also to combat like the Chinese knockoff shit that you'd find on like Alibaba and things like that. Like that's probably one of the things they're looking at here, and you don't need to steal that. But just like you said, they like let it be a buyer beware situation. You don't have to fucking restrict people from doing this. People are gonna buy your
Right.
shit anyway, man. I seriously doubt Microsoft's accessory sales are really hurting right now, especially because like they're the de facto controller of choice for anyone that has a PC, right?
That
Like
has
I
a
mean,
PC, right?
like
I
if you
mean,
read
come
if you
on,
read
man.
any fucking like if you Google what's the best controller to use for PC, it's a fucking Xbox One controller. Like that's what's recommended all the time, by people. So just no need to be dicks about this. I don't like it, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like anything is going to stop that from happening. So again, if you use unlicensed accessories on your Xbox One console, or not Xbox One, you're on your Xbox Series consoles, just know that you got a couple weeks, and then they probably aren't going to be working anymore. So just heads
Yeah,
up
it
there.
stinks.
Micah, I thought that we could go one goddamn week in this industry without having massive layoffs, and then out of nowhere, Bungie had dozens of layoffs affect their team yesterday, where they fired a lot of employees, a lot of front-facing employees, like people from their social media teams, people from their community teams. Both of their composers apparently were let go, or two of their high-profile composers. We don't know if they were like forced into an early retirement situation or if they were actually part of these cuts, but both of their like lauded composers for Destiny are no longer with the company. This, of course, is years after the famous like Marty O'Donnell kerfluffle as well with Bungie, the composer of Halo, and this is just putting a real sour taste in people's mouth. Doesn't help that Pete Parsons, who is the GM at Bungie, put out a really tone deaf statement on Twitter, talking about oh, it's so sad, like real sad day at Bungie here, but he's kind of the one that probably made all this shit happen. Hearing additional reporting, because a lot of people speculated, oh, like Sony's probably stepping in and doing this. Apparently, this was all Bungie. Apparently, this was all Bungie decided. From hearing from people that are still with Bungie, as well as people that have left, like this is the consequences of poor upper management coming home to roost. Apparently, like this has been kind of coming for a while. Where we heard that before. As a result, also the Destiny 2 fight, like the final expansion for the storyline they've been telling for the last 10 years, got pushed out a couple months. And Marathon, which was supposed to come out next year, is probably delayed into 2025 now as a result of this. And it just gets really even shittier because apparently these employees, their health insurance only runs out to the end of the current month, and they were all let go on October 30th, meaning that they only have one fucking day
Yo,
of healthcare coverage, and all of the stock shares that employees received from when Sony purchased the company hadn't invested yet. And apparently, if you leave the company for any reason, whether you're fired or whether you choose to leave before those stock options vest, they revert back to Bungie. So these people who were told, oh, like the thing you built and, like you made us successful and made Sony pick us up, they're not even going to get to really see the fruits of that labor because their stock options were not vested in quick enough time to see them benefit. It's just a really shitty situation, and I know because I still follow the Destiny community, even though I don't play anymore. Everyone is really fucking down right now about all this. Like the Destiny community is one who has a lot of affinity and has a lot of like they have like more than most games I've seen. They have like a parasocial relationship almost with like the developers of the game. And they feel that they have kind of a really direct line of communication with Bungie, and they to some extent they do. I mean, you see the Bungie employees gather in their theater every time there's a new raid that comes out to watch the world's first race in real time and stuff like that. And I do feel like it's a more community focused organization. So the players, more than I've ever seen, have reacted to this news really poorly. And it asks a lot of questions about where Bungie currently is as a developer and
yeah,
what
yo,
the
what
future
happened
looks
to
like
that
for them.
$4 billion, man? What
Right.
happened to that $4 billion? Billion,
Yeah.
$4 billion. What happened to it?
And by the way, for those that forget, of that is the number's actually 3.7 billion. It's a couple hundred million here or there. 1.2 billion of that was specifically earmarked to retain staff. Like Sony did not want staff to leave in the wake of the acquisition. So $1.2 billion of that money was specifically to give people raises, to give people bonuses, and to make sure that staff stayed on because Sony wanted what made Bungie successful, which was the people.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
dude. This shit is gross, man. I just I I mean, I know it sounds like, you know, like we're not looking for these stories, folks.
No,
Like
no.
this stuff is just happening. This stuff is just happening. And it amazes me that people can't see the correlation to the best year in gaming ever,
Hmm.
possibly, with the workers that are working on that game, on those games.
Yeah.
I don't. It baffles me, man. And like you said, we're about to have a real shitty year because all of these layoffs, right? You're gonna have to bring in new people, if that. Either you bring in new people that don't quite know what they're doing yet, and it's gonna take them time, or you overwork the people who are already there,
Hmm.
and either way, you're not gonna get quality products. This is gross, man. This is gross, and I'm actually really shocked that this is coming from Bungie, man. Like you said, like they've garnered one of those reputations like CD Projekt Red, where
Hmm.
it's like we're the gamers developer, right? Like we're your favorite developer's favorite developer, right? And nah, man, this is sad. This is
Hmm.
really this is real sad. I'm actually kind of I'm actually kind of really pissed off at this.
Yeah.
It would be one thing if like, hey guys, we left Activision and we're just kind of scraping by. We're gonna have to do some hard stuff. But like, nah, man, you got scooped up by one of the big three.
Hmm.
So I
And
just
and and you're supposed to be the company that's leading this initiative of live service games that
right.
Sony wants to put out. Like you're supposed to be the one that's shepherding this process along. Now again, it's unclear who is laid off. Like only basically only people that have posted about it online are ones that we can confirm. And again, a lot of it is community facing people, which is the worst people to lay off, by the way, because those are the people that are talking
Yeah.
to your players all the
Yeah,
time.
man.
They're the one, and also in many cases, like Destiny 2 has been a very roller coaster game since it came out 7 years ago. And the community folks are the ones taking the slings and arrows when things are going poorly, and kind of keeping the goodwill with your fans. And they're the ones that are that are in the shit when you release like a bad season or put out a bad expansion or things of that nature as well. So it does feel very shitty. Yeah, like I said, this one came out of left field, and I think left people really bummed compared to a lot of the other layoffs. And again, maybe it's just the circles that I follow, because a lot of folks that a lot of the reporters that I follow are into Destiny and live service games and stuff like that. So maybe it's just I'm getting the noise more than I normally would. But it just seems like this is a really shitty one. Amidst all the other shitty layoffs that have been happening in the gaming world for the last several months at this point.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is crazy how, like you said, juxtapose one of the best release years ever with probably one of the worst gaming industry business years ever in terms of how many people have gotten laid off and lost jobs and things of that nature.
After being overworked, right?
Right.
Like after like literally squeezing the blood out of this rock and then just tossing them aside, man.
Yep.
It just stinks, man. It really does stink. Like as much as I want what I want when I want it, like come on, man. Like you can't you people have to realize like you're not going to get the quality product that you want with with this kind of turnover and this kind of turnaround.
Well, and with Destiny specifically, like apparently like the game is going through a lull right now in terms of like players have dropped off and they're having trouble retaining people. I'm going to tell you right now, firing people in your community department is not going to help you retain players into the game. Like
Yeah,
those are
man.
the people that you need doing the outreach and things of that nature. So just a shitty situation all around, I would say.
That's
Yep. We're going to run some more ads, and then we'll be back with the post office. All right, so we are light on questions, but high on substance this week in the Dense Pixels post office. So again, you can ask us questions that we'll answer on the show by joining our Discord at densepixels.com/fans. We start with Johnny, who asks, Micah, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
does Snickers count? Or
Sure.
Kit Kat? I
Yeah.
like Kit Kat. I like Snickers. That's about it. You throw them in the freezer, and so the chocolate doesn't melt on your hands. That's it. That's all I need.
Yeah. It's gonna be your favorite candy bar, right? So like Twix is up there for me, Butterfinger is up there for me. Nothing homemade. Don't give me a fucking homemade, treat person's house. Just give me the sealed candy.
They were giving away Pokemon cards. Like,
Yeah, a lot of houses do that. I don't know why.
yeah, I didn't know people like. Well, I mean,
The,
what the fuck do I know?
the
I'm in my
kids
mid
the kids
forties.
love them. Like we're not now. Were they giving away single cards or were they giving away boosters?
I don't know what they were giving away. They were giving away like these things in like these dark purple packs.
Okay,
So I
so
don't know
those were booster packs then. So that's
okay.
that's a little bit better. Like if they're giving away single cards, that means they're just giving away their trash cards to the fucking kids. But a booster, you might get something good. You never know. Uh,
Yeah, a lot of people were giving away like you got some houses that have like shitty candy like dots and crappy candy like that, but there were a lot of people giving out like pretzels and goldfish and stuff like that. So yeah, we give away like little Welch's gummies
mhm.
and Snickers. Well, not too many Snickers because I eat them. Kit Kat, but we give away Twix and somebody gave away an almond joy. Go fuck yourself.
It
Almond
should be it should be
joy.
this should be classified as a hate crime. Any almond joy or mounds giveaway. It's literally the worst candy. Those and Mike and Ike's If you like Mike and Ike, you're a fucking monster. I'm just putting it out there, saying it right now. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood says, "Is there a show that you wish you were famous enough to be on as a guest? They always wanted to be a star in the reasonably priced car on Top Gear or a comedian on Taskmaster."
I don't know what Taskmaster is. I don't know. It would have to be like a. It would have to be like some sort of comedy. I don't watch too much TV.
Mm-hmm.
The one show I would like to be one of the few black people on Seinfeld. I feel like that would have. But I was like a teenager when that show was out, so I don't know if that would be kind of weird. A bunch of 30-something people hanging out with some black kid from Baltimore. Um, yeah, I don't know because I don't know. I always found it like good for them, but like
Mm-hmm.
kind of weird when like Ed Sheeran was on Game of Thrones
Mm-hmm.
just because he really liked it, and I think wasn't like Rob McElhenney on Game of Thrones or something like that
He might
once.
have been. I find it interesting you're going with like scripted TV as kind of like your go-to. Like for me, the answer is like I would love to guest star on like Kind of Funny and their shit at
Mm,
at some point. Like Greg Miller's someone who means a lot to me personally.
he's a good dude, man.
Yeah, he's basically the reason that like I'm aware that podcasts exist and like got into podcasting, and he's a big, seeing like, hey, this like awkward dude from fucking Missouri can make it in this business, like made me want to do this as well, and is one of the reasons that we started Dense Pixels. So like being able to, to guest star with those guys would be fucking awesome. Obviously, like what they're doing, like if I had a dream, like if I found like a fucking genie lamp and had three wishes, like I would make TNP Studios like what Kind of Funny basically is, and that could just be our fucking jobs. Like that would be
Yeah.
incredible. But yeah, that would be it for me. Like I would love to be on Kind of Funny, and their content at some point, because they mean a lot to me in my podcasting journey, I guess you could say.
It's so cool to see that guy's career from like some random IGN reviewer with like a whole lot of personality.
Mm-hmm.
Just like totally eclipse everything that he wants. Like it's really like he's a good dude. Like I like that guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really say that about a lot of people and mean it, but like I actually like that guy and what he's doing.
T Wash says, "I'm having trouble writing and wanted to know if y'all think a story should have a deeper meaning or just be about the adventure." I think that it's perfectly fine to have a story that's just about the journey and not doesn't necessarily need to have anything lurking beneath the surface. Sometimes a story can just be a story, and you don't have to have any kind of profound like hidden message at the bottom of it. And I think honestly, a story just being a story is a very liberating way to write sometimes without having to worry about subtext or things like that.
I agree. I would kind of caveat that by saying like it should mean something to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like even if it is just like a story, because you're never gonna you don't you never know what how someone will take your art,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it could just be a story to you, or it could be an estranged it could be a guy and his dad going on an adventure looking for the mythical holy grail, or it can be a father and son who were estranged uh, learning to love each other again by doing the thing that they love to do the most, which is each have sex with the same blonde woman. Um, It's one of my favorite movies, man. I
Oh my
love that
god.
movie. I love Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Look at Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Spider-Man has a lot of themes going on, but like someone could just see Spider-Man 2, the game, as a couple of guys in tights fighting Venom, right? Fighting a big monster. But I see, and I think it's pretty heavy-handed. That whole part of that story is about addiction, and it's about drug use, and it's about how this drug that makes you feel good and makes you feel like you can do anything is messing you up, and the effect that it's having on the people around you. And it's, it all depends, right? But you don't have to go out and create something because there's a deeper meaning to it, but you should create something because it feels good to you. Like I hesitate to call this podcast art, but we we are doing it because we like to, right? Like we put in effort to do this, and how you take it is, it's up to you. I used to draw a lot, but I got to a point where I would draw for other people, it just killed it. It killed my motivation, right? Because I didn't want to do it for myself. It didn't mean anything to me. But once I started drawing again for me, I I I felt that spark. And if people like it, then you know that's
It's
great.
it's very funny to me that because when T Wash put this in, like I had just been thinking like I miss writing so much, and like I'm this close to blocking again because there's so much shit that I like to talk about too that I don't just talk about in the show. Like I would love to dive deeper into, my thoughts on sports and why they mean so much to me, and have another avenue to talk about board games and watches and other just random shit that I can't talk about on Dead Pixels or Look Forward. And like I'm like this fun list to like, what if I start up a thing on Ghost and just start writing? And if people want to give me money, then that'd be great. And if not, I don't care
Yeah.
because I'm just doing it for me. So,
Yeah. Do it for you, and it'll come.
yep.
Your writer's block will cease.
Yep. Matt Kokoji said, "Is there still time for Rocksteady to turn it around with Suicide Squad, or is it still heading to drive off the cliff into the turd heap at the bottom like the Avengers before it?"
The only thing I could see them doing is doing what Gotham Knights did, and just kind of take away all the monetization. But because this is the game,
Right.
right? Like this this live service esque style, like this is the game. The only way they could turn it around is if they crash the car and then take it to a repair shop, and then the repair shop says this car's totaled, go buy a new car, right? Like,
I Here's what I'm gonna say. This, as of right now, this game is DOA. Like there are people that will play it out of curiosity, but no one is looking forward to this. The only hope they have, is if they can put together a preview build that gets a lot of positive buzz from outlets getting to play it and talking about it, and then somehow when this game comes out, it gets like the word of mouth, and people are like, "Oh, actually, Suicide Squad's amazing. You gotta check it out." I think like any marketing they throw at this game, and they're gonna have to market it because they have to. But I think any marketing they put out for this game is going to be a net negative. I really do. I think it's only going to bring it down. I think you need to hear stories about people playing the game and having a really good time, and that's going to be the only thing that can save Suicide Squad, because right now it is not in a good spot from a visibility standpoint. And then finally, Film Wanderer asked, will anybody finally compete with Max Verstappen in 2024? His dominance is absurd this year. Yeah, for those following Formula One, Max Verstappen officially clinched the Drivers' Championship 2 races ago, and we still have 3 races left to go in the season. The reason he's been so good is because the car has been so good. I mean, not that he is a bystander, but look at how troubling of a season Sergio Perez has had, his teammate, and realize that Perez is still number 2 in points this year. That's how good the Red Bull car is this year. The way that people will compete with him is if the other teams can build a car that stands toe to toe with the Red Bull car this year. If they can figure out and get around the regulations and build a car that is good to go. A lot of teams have made strides, like Mercedes and McLaren specifically, in the latter part of the season have come closer to the Red Bull car. But also remember that Red Bull has probably been developing their 2024 car for the last 5 months because they already knew their 2019 car was going to wipe the floor with everybody else. So they probably got a bit of a head start on development. So we'll see. There are other things to watch besides, the fight for first. Like, obviously, you'd want there to be a fight for the title every year, and that's optimal. But there's other things up and down the grid to watch out for. And frankly, it's impressive watching Max Verstappen dominate the way that he is. If you're someone that enjoys watching, peak athletes at the prime of their career, like we're basically watching the Jordan run right now with Max Verstappen. That's kind of the level that he's competing at, where he's winning these races and he's winning by 15 seconds and not particularly troubled. and he's only winning by that slim of a margin because he decided, I've literally got more than a pit stop gap to the next car that's in second place, so I can take a free pit stop and get new tires just to make my life easier for the rest of this race and make it a little bit more competitive. So
God damn.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. He's already, again, we have 3 races left to go in a season, and he's already set the single season record for wins in a single year of 16, and he probably will win at least 2 more before it's all said and done this season.
Jesus, somebody throw a blue shell at that.
if only they had such a thing. If only they did. And I don't think I think he's finished every race this season too. I can't remember a race that he's had to retire from this year.
Jesus.
So again, the car has been absurdly fast and reliable. And he's also just very good. He's just an excellent driver. Who is just crushing people right now. So that's it for us. Thank you guys, as usual, very much for watching and listening to the show. And we will catch you all the next time.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here, and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.